Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. In this video, we're looking at the two-game NBA slate that we have for today. Super surprised that it's only a two-gamer. Both games start at 9 o'clock tonight, so it's going to be a long wait until we get some NBA action today, but let's go ahead and get started with it. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at the DFS Process for updates, and let's get started. So, first game we have is OKC against Denver. We'll go position by position because there's only two games. You have SGA as the most expensive point guard option today. He's only point guard eligible, but he gives you a ton of upside. Starting to figure things out is he dropped a 58 in his last game, has a couple of 50-plus point outings. Previous to that, in this last couple weeks, or this week and last week, playing a lot of minutes in close games, and it's against a Denver team that is pretty, like, they can stop him defensively. Malone does like to double high usage guards, but I still think SGA is going to be able to get his way and be able to try to keep his team in it. If they are able to stay in this game, it's going to be because of SGA. So I think he's tough to fade on a two-gamer just because we have some value that we can plug in, and there's not a ton of spend-ups on the slate besides Jokic. And then you have Ingram is 91. That's price tag is a bit too high, I think. Other guys to look at point guard. Donovan Mitchell, I prefer SGA just because SGA gives you more rebounds, more assists on a typical basis than Donovan Mitchell. So I'll rather pay $500 more if I can't get up to Donovan Mitchell. Then I think SGA is the preferred option above 8,000. Jamal Murray started to have two good games in a row. He's starting to be a lot more aggressive offensively. 27 shots he took, and then 18 shots the previous game. So hopefully that's a trend going forward. Probably not, knowing Jamal Murray and knowing that offense. 73, though, he's still a viable option on a two-gamer. Yeah, Mike Conley's only 6,800. He's actually been pretty productive and consistent this season. Haven't seen him drop below 20 fantasy points or drop below like 25 fantasy points very often. He's typically in the 30s and 40s. And so 68, pretty good price tag for Conley. I definitely like Conley more than Clarkson, just at that $300 difference. Have to see if Lonzo Ball can play tonight. If he's out, then maybe you can look to Bledsoe, but Bledsoe is 6,000, and he kind of got it done by playing really well. He took 14 shots, made 8 of them, so typically not going to get that sort of efficiency. Also went 3 of 4 from 3. So hopefully Lonzo comes back so we don't have to really deal with Bledsoe, and Alexander Walker's priced at 54. I think he gives you a little bit of a higher ceiling than Bledsoe just because as he's kind of shown it this season. Well, in his one game that he did get a lot of playing time against a tough matchup. If Lonzo's out, then you could look to, I think Walker looks a little bit better than Bledsoe. George Hill looks like a fine value option. He's down to 43, so a lot cheaper than he's been all season. And then compared to some of the other guys on his team, like Dort is 51 now, and Diallo's 47. So I think compared to some of those other shooting guard and small forward options, I think Hill looks better. And basically it kind of touches on all the viable point guard options. SJ is my preferred option tonight. At shooting guard, you have Donovan Mitchell at 82. If you can play him, if you can fit him in, I think that's fine. You do have some other viable options here with Gary Harris is only 4,400. So Harris had a horrible shooting game. 2 of 11 from shooting last time out. Had just 5 rebounds, no assists, 8 points scored. He was pretty solid before that, but I think Harris is a much better shooter than he showed. He's averaging 43% field goal percentage. His 3-point percentage is pretty down, but you have Gary Harris and you have George Hill right in that same price tag. You might want to consider playing one of them in this shooting guard spot because they're both pretty cheap. You can maybe go both of them if you want to. But I think one of those guys looks fine. I like them a little bit more than Dort, than Walker. We have Will Barton at 57. Another guy that just had a horrible shooting game. Got 1 of 6, but he got it done with the he kind of got it done with the assists and rebounds, but just scoring 2 points is going to kill you, especially when you pay $6,000 for him. So hopefully he has a better game tonight. But now that Murray's being a lot more aggressive, there's going to be nights where you just don't get a lot of production from Barton/Harris. Moving on to small forward, you have Brandon Ingram at 9,100. I think Zion looks better just based on his price tag. Like Ingram hasn't justified paying over 9,000 for. It's not an easy matchup against Utah, so I'll probably fade that price tag. Baisley looks okay at 56. Gives you a lot of upside. He's struggling recently, but I kind of like a couple of other guys on his team that are power forward and center eligible. I don't think I'll pay 53 for Bogdanovich or 52 for O'Neal. At this position, you have a couple of cheap guys like PJ Dozier, who's playing a good amount off the bench in place of Michael Porter, who's still out. So you could look to Dozier, or you can look to Kenrich Williams, who's only 3,600, getting a bit more playing time because no Al Horford the last few games. Played 15 and then played 27 minutes. If he gets around 20 minutes tonight, I think he'll be able to pay off 3,600. He's a decent player back when he was with the Pelicans. Rostered him just for his rebounding. He's a decent rebounder off the bench and can score at the basket, so I think he looks like a fine value option. As power forward options, we have Zion, I think looks great at 79. I'll plug him in just because I think he looks better than paying 91 for Brandon Ingram. Going to have the ability to spend up for some guys. Below 8,000 for Zion, I think, is just a little bit too cheap. And he's been pretty aggressive shooting, scoring, and the rebounds have kind of been up and down, but hopefully he might be able to push out a double-double tonight. So Zion at 79, I love that price tag. Other guys at power forward, you have a couple of cheap options here with Pokuveski. Just going to see decent minutes off the bench, like 15 to 20, depending on how he's playing. I do think he doesn't give you a high floor, so he's kind of tough to trust in cash games, but could look to him for tournaments. And then, like, Millsap is only 45, but a guy that I do like is Isaiah Roby. He's only 4,100, going to be a pretty, play around 25 to 28 minutes, depending on foul trouble, but don't expect Horford to be back tonight. They said he's without a timetable, so already been ruled out, so that's good. We got that news already. So Roby looks like a fine option. Maybe we can plug him in at power forward or in the forward spot or whatever. We'll go back to him. But center, I think it's tough to fade Jokic on a 2-game slate. This can absolutely kill you if you fade him and he goes for another triple-double, which has been pretty regular for him this season. Missed it by 1 assist last game. Played 40 minutes against Utah. And it's a matchup against OKC, so it's going to be an easy matchup without Horford in there. Matched up against like Roby and then Mike Muscala, I think Jokic should be able to feast on those guys. So definitely love Jokic. And then we can go back to Roby at power forward. And then another guy to look at maybe at center is you have Steven Adams at 61. He's going to have to play a lot of minutes to match up against Rudy Gobert. But then you also have Mike Muscala, who's only 3,400. I don't mind going with both Muscala and Roby because they both should play in the 20s in minutes. And Muscala can be productive when he's out there. And Roby, I just expect him to be productive just because he's pretty cheap and will be starting at center. So still leaves you with 56.50. I think these 6 look pretty solid tonight. If you don't feel good about Kenrich Williams, you can go up to PJ Dozier. Both guys are viable. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not a ton to talk about for a 2-gamer. Let's jump over to Fanduel. All right, over on FanDuel here, point guard options, we have Jamal Murray, 7,800, and you have Mike Conley, 2 guys that are above 7,000. I prefer Murray based on price tag and kind of what I expect. Murray can kind of get hot and put up like 50 burger. I don't think Conley, he can do that as well, but I think Murray just looks better as basically both guys have the same price tag. Bledsoe looks fine at 55. If balls out, I feel better about playing him on FanDuel than DraftKings. And I'm not that interested at $4,900 for George Hill. So basically like 3 guys to consider here. I think Jamal Murray hopefully shoots a lot tonight as well because I think he looks like the best point guard option. Shooting guard, SGA, Donovan Mitchell, 2 guys that you can pay for $8,000 plus for both of them. SGA is probably my favorite play on the slate, just with Jokic is probably my favorite, but SGA comes in close second. Just with the value that we have, we're going to be able to pay up for a shooting guard or 2, and it's just going to be the guy that is going to carry OKC tonight. So, love SGA. Think Mitchell looks good on FanDuel. Then you can take a shot with Harris or Dozier. Diallo would be a nice tournament play that nobody's going to really play. So, not a ton of options either at shooting guard. Small forward, you have Brandon Ingram, 84. Looks better on FanDuel just because you need to get 2 small forwards. He's like $700 cheaper. Barton looks fine at 61. There's not a ton of options here when you have like Dort 53, Bogdanovich at plus 5,000. If you want to take a shot on a cheap guy, you can look to Kenrich Williams, who's only 38. Probably go with Will Barton at 61. Just hope that he doesn't score 2 points again. Power forward, you have Zion at 78. I think a lot of people will go up to the Zion route. If you want to be different, you can go with like 2 cheap guys with Roby at 45, Muscala at 4,000. Maybe you can play Millsap. Baisley is also cheap at 52. So kind of you got it like power forward that's pretty deep in terms of value options. But I think Roby is just a tough guy to pass up on, 4,500. And then center is going to be Jokic. Like you can go be really different and go with like Adams at only 58. I like that price tag, but you don't have a ton of other guys to pay up for, so like Jokic is the pay up that you want to go to. And I do like some value options. So I mean, just for me, it makes sense to go up to Jokic. And that's it for the video. Hopefully, guys enjoyed. Hopefully, you liked some of the picks. Thank you guys for watching, and best of luck today.